Let me tell you something most men never get to hear. When a woman craves you, I mean deeply, soulfully, uncontrollably, she doesn't come out and say it, not directly. That's not how emotional chemistry works. It shows up in the smallest, most uncontrollable signs. And you know what's sad? Most men miss them completely because they're too focused on trying to impress, to chase, to perform. But the truth is, craving isn't logical. It's primal, emotional, raw. If you've ever sat there thinking, why do I always feel like the one chasing? This is your wake-up call. You're playing the wrong game. When a woman craves you, her energy changes. Her body betrays her. Her emotions leak through in ways she can't even stop. And if you learn to read those signs, you stop chasing. You start attracting. And I'm not talking about pickup tactics or acting like a cold robot. I'm talking about real emotional presence, high value energy, and understanding how emotional craving works. This isn't about tricking women. This is about finally becoming the man who gets chosen. Let's dive into 6 signs that a woman craves you and doesn't even realize it. There's a moment, and you've probably seen this if you paid attention, when a woman's eyes betray her. You're in a room. Maybe you're just talking. Maybe you're not even speaking directly to her. And yet, her eyes keep drifting back to you, over and over. She looks away, then looks back. Maybe she tries to act uninterested, checks her phone, and talks to someone else. But her gaze comes back. That is not random. That is not polite curiosity. That is a craving she's trying to suppress. And here's the truth. The eyes are the first part of the body to rebel against emotional control. When a woman craves you, emotionally, energetically, her eyes start doing something her brain hasn't even caught up with yet. She's curious. She's magnetized. She's drawn to you. Now here's where most men screw this up. They chase the look. They get excited, jump in too quickly, or worse, start bragging. Don't. You don't catch fire by blowing on it too fast. You let the flame build. If she's looking and looking back again, give her something to look at. Your calm, your confidence, your presence. That's the bait. And the hook, silence, power, stillness. Because a man who doesn't need to speak to be noticed, that's rare. And she feels that. She feels the difference between the guy who begs for attention and the man whose energy commands it. Don't speak, let her stare. And here's your power move. Notice her noticing you. Then hold that moment for 1 second longer than she expects. That 1 second of calm acknowledgement, it breaks her rhythm. Now she's the one questioning what you're thinking. She's the one feeling exposed. The craving just went from subtle to active. And that's just the first sign. One of the most powerful, confusing, and unmistakable signs that a woman craves you is this: her mood starts to shift the moment you're near. And I'm not talking about fake smiles or sweet voices. I'm talking about internal conflict, a subtle restlessness, a sudden drop in her confidence, or even random attitude changes that don't make sense because something in her just got triggered. Here's the hard truth most men miss when a woman craves you deeply, emotionally, and isn't ready to admit it, even to herself. She doesn't always become more charming. Sometimes she becomes more chaotic. She might seem irritated for no reason, or start teasing you out of nowhere. She might act cold, then warm, then cold again. You're left wondering, what did I even do? The answer, you didn't do anything. That's the point. Your presence is doing the work. Your energy, your stillness, your eye contact, your lack of neediness, it's making her feel something she can't control. And when a woman isn't used to that kind of pull, her nervous system goes into alert mode. She's trying to regulate what she can't name. That's craving. But here's what separates emotionally strong men from boys. They don't take it personally. You don't react to her shifting moods. You read them. You recognize that when her vibe changes around you, when she's quieter, bolder, more sarcastic, more shy, it's not random. It's a signal. You've got her thinking, feeling, and that emotional dissonance means she's caught between her usual control and this new tension that you bring into the room. And you can't fake that kind of power. You can't script it. It's not about what you say. It's about who you are. A man who isn't chasing. A man who's grounded. A man who makes her feel something deeper than attention, presence. That's the kind of man who throws off her emotional rhythm. Now listen, I'm not telling you to put up with disrespect or wild emotional swings. I'm telling you to recognize that if a woman seems off around you, and it happens more than once, it's often because something real is stirring in her that she doesn't know how to manage, and that something is desire she can't hide. So here's what you do. Stay solid. Don't try to fix her mood. Don't change yours to match hers. Let her wrestle with it, because the longer she wrestles with what she's feeling, the deeper the craving gets. And that's the second sign. Her mood doesn't just change when you're around, it gets complicated, because deep down you're making her feel something she can't ignore, and that is magnetic. Here's something every emotionally intelligent man needs to understand. Women rarely come straight out and say, "I want you," especially if what they're feeling is strong, vulnerable, or unexpected. Instead, they initiate contact in indirect ways. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss the whole thing. She'll send a meme, react to your story, mention something random just to check in. She'll text you about something that doesn't matter. A song, a post, a vague question she probably could have Googled. And if you're not tuned into emotional depth, you'll treat it like nothing. But hear me when I say this. It's everything, that tiny message, that one-line check-in, that's her extending a thread, an invisible emotional rope. It's not what she says that matters. It's the energy underneath it. It's the intention. It's the vulnerability masked as casualness. Why does she do it this way? Because craving makes people cautious. She doesn't want to lose power. She doesn't want to seem needy. She doesn't even know if you feel the same. So she tests the water with her toes instead of diving in head first. But that contact, that attempt, that effort, it's her way of saying, "You're on my mind and I don't know what to do about it." So what do most men do? They either overreact, jumping in with a flood of messages, emojis, or overcompensating to show interest, or they brush it off because it wasn't clear. That's where the high-value man takes the lead. Not through neediness, but awareness. Here's how you respond. Low-pressure warmth. Mirror her tone, but slightly elevate the vibe. Make her feel seen without suffocating her. Keep the thread alive. Don't tug too hard, and definitely don't drop it. She's not just messaging you, she's giving you a doorway into her emotional space, and your job is to meet her with a steady, grounded presence. And sometimes, let me be real, she might pull back, not because she's playing games, but because craving someone scares her, because now you represent something that matters, and anything that matters has the potential to hurt. That's why emotional contact feels light on the surface, but it's heavy underneath. Pay attention to the frequency, the randomness, the way she finds excuses to reach out, even if she frames it as no big deal. If she didn't care, she'd be silent. If she's reaching out, it's not an accident. It's an emotional instinct. So the next time she sends that one-line message, remember she's not asking for information. She's asking for a connection. She's saying, "I can't stop thinking about you, and I need to feel a piece of you in my world again." That's not just contact. That's emotional craving. Let me tell you something. Most men completely miss when a woman craves you, she'll create reasons to be around you. Not because she needs help, not because she's bored, but because there's a pull inside her that refuses to be silenced. She won't always say, "Can I see you?" She'll frame it as a coincidence, convenience, random need. She'll show up in places you're likely to be. She'll ask for your help with something she can probably do herself. She'll tag along with friends she knows you hang out with. And from the outside, it all seems casual, harmless, but it's not. It's emotional gravity. It's chemistry that's fighting for expression. She may not even know why she's doing it, but her subconscious is running the show. And here's the key. It's not about logic. It's about presence. She craves the way she feels around you, even if she can't explain it to herself. This is where a lot of men get confused. They start asking, "Why is she here again?" Or worse, they assume she's just being friendly. Don't ignore the pattern. Pay attention to the consistency. Does she always seem to pop up? Is she suddenly more interested in your plans, your projects, your social circles? If yes, that's not an accident. That's a strategy she's not even conscious of. Because when a woman craves a man emotionally, her need for proximity becomes impossible to hide. She wants to see you, hear you. Even if it's from across the room, Your energy becomes a comfort. Your presence becomes a fixture. Now this is where high-value men separate themselves. They don't get arrogant. They don't gloat. They observe. They match her subtle energy with grounded curiosity. They let her be close without overreacting or clinging. Because craving is delicate. It's emotional tension in its purest form. And if you push too hard, she'll pull away to protect herself. But when you recognize her effort, when you see her showing up, you begin to understand something deeper. She's not just showing up physically. She's investing emotionally. That's a massive sign. So what do? Be present. Be kind. But stay solid. Don't start rearranging your world for her just yet. Let her keep showing up. Let her reveal her pattern. Because each time she finds a new excuse to be near you, she's getting closer to admitting the truth to herself and eventually to you. And here's the real magic. The more she craves your presence, the more she attaches to the emotional version of you. Not your looks, not your money, you. That's how real attraction works. So the next time she pops up where you are, smile. You're not imagining things. You're witnessing a craving she can't suppress. You want to know the truth? A woman's body will confess long before her words ever do. If she craves you, her body language will betray her. She may talk like everything's normal. She may try to keep it cool. But her eyes, her hands, her voice, her posture, they'll all start telling the real story. Pay attention. When she's around you and suddenly starts playing with her hair, adjusting her clothes, or fidgeting with objects in her hands, that's not random. That's nervous energy. That's her body reacting to the chemical rush of desire. Her system is overstimulated. Her brain's trying to process, but her body's already in motion. And that kind of involuntary behavior, it's powerful because it's real, unfiltered, and it doesn't stop there. She might act overly playful, teasing you in ways she doesn't with other men. Or the opposite. She suddenly becomes quiet, almost shy. She holds eye contact too long, or not at all. Her voice softens. Her breathing changes. Why? Because being near you makes her feel something. And it's not just butterflies. It's vulnerability. It's fear. It's craving. Listen, we live in a world where women are constantly on guard. They're used to being approached, watched, and judged. So when a woman feels something intense for a man, her control reflex kicks in. But craving is chaotic. It's messy. And that's when her defenses falter. That's when the mask slips, and that's what you as a grounded man need to see. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to flirt back right away. What you need is awareness. See the moment her laugh becomes more genuine. Catch the moment her voice breaks, just slightly, when she's talking to you. Notice when she suddenly straightens up or smooths her shirt when you walk in the room. These aren't small signs. These are emotional leaks. Her body is having a reaction she can't fake or hide. And here's where high-value men always win. They respect the moment. They don't call it out. They don't use it to manipulate. They hold space. They give her the room to feel safe while still feeling everything she's trying to manage. Because when a woman craves you but doesn't feel safe, she'll shut down. But when she craves you and senses that you're emotionally grounded, she lets the walls fall, piece by piece. And it always starts with body language. So the next time she's twirling her hair, nervously smiling, shifting her weight, or suddenly going quiet, don't assume it's nothing. Don't assume it's all in your head, because it's not. That's biology. That's emotion. That's raw desire trying to break through social conditioning. Her body's talking. You just have to listen. This last sign is the most misunderstood and the most powerful. When a woman craves you deeply, she starts trying to impress you. But it's not in the way most men think. It's not just about makeup, dresses, or showing skin. That's surface level attraction. What I'm talking about is emotional investment. She starts showing you who she really is. She tries to win your respect, not just your attention. It might show up in the way she talks about her dreams, the pride she takes in her work, the way she shares something vulnerable she doesn't tell just anyone. She leans in emotionally. She opens up. She wants you to see her. Not the mask she wears in public, but the real woman underneath. Why? Because when a woman craves you, it's not just physical. Her heart is involved. Her self-worth is on the line. And somewhere inside she believes, if he really saw me, the real me, he'd want me. And that's huge, because that's when she's no longer trying to look good. She's trying to be valuable in your eyes. She'll show support. She'll remember the little things you said. She'll bring you peace when you're stressed. She'll want to be part of your story in a meaningful way. That's not just flirting. That's emotional courting. That's a woman trying to earn space in your life. Now here's what a lot of men do when this happens. They miss it because they're still chasing surface level validation. They're stuck looking for the sexy text, the short dress, the bold move. But a high value woman craves connection. And when she starts giving emotionally, it's a test. She's asking, can you see this part of me? Will you value it? So here's what you do. Slow down. Listen. Acknowledge her effort. Not with fake compliments, but with presence. Real engagement. When she talks about her passions, lean in. When she's vulnerable, don't interrupt or joke it off. Hold that moment like it matters. Because to her, it does. This is where most emotionally disconnected men fail. They treat emotional vulnerability like background noise, instead of what it really is, a gift. And if you can't receive it, she'll take it back. She'll shut down. She'll tell herself, he doesn't really see me, and the craving dies. But when you hold space for her effort, when you notice how hard she's trying to impress you with her soul, not just her smile, you create emotional safety. And in that safety, her craving for you deepens. Because now she's not just physically attracted, she feels understood. And when a woman feels seen and safe, she chooses you, not out of fear, not out of need, out of a deep, real emotional connection. That's not a game. That's rare. And it's earned. Let's stop pretending this stuff doesn't matter. Let's stop acting like emotional connection is some mystery or like craving is only physical. It's not. You know it. You felt it. That pull towards someone you couldn't explain. That ache when they were near. That confusion when they pulled away. Not because they didn't want you, but because they didn't know how to want you out loud. And now you understand why. When a woman craves you, it leaks into her body language. It hijacks her mood. It pushes her to contact you when she swore she wouldn't. It makes her invent reasons to see you, even if it makes no sense. She tries to look calm, but her energy is loud. And when does she start showing you her real self? That's not flirting, that's vulnerability in motion. But here's the truth. Most men avoid. You don't become the man women crave by accident. You built that man. You become him. You do the work. You stop chasing. You start noticing. You tune into emotional cues instead of jumping at physical ones. You show up with presence, not performance. You become the man who doesn't beg to be chosen because he's too grounded to need validation. That's the man who gets craved. So if this message hit you, if it woke something up in you, it means you're ready. Ready to stop living for attention and start living with intention. Ready to stop reacting to women and start understanding them. That's your power. And if no one's told you this lately, let me be the first. You are not too emotional. You are not too intense. You are not too much for the right woman. You're just showing up in a world that's starving for depth, and you finally stopped starving yourself for crumbs. Now do me a favor. If this message helped you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video. Comment below with what hit you the hardest. Share it with a brother who's struggling. And subscribe to this channel, because this is just the beginning. You deserve the kind of connection that doesn't just light up your phone, but wakes up your soul. And you're closer to that man than you think. Let's get to work.